welcome to the Planecious Leaders Walk the Talk. I am Rohit Korat, the founder of the Planecious Leader series, where we celebrate the leaders who are driving positive change towards a more sustainable future. I'm excited to have with us today Mr. Erik Solheim, who is a green politician, a former Minister of Climate and Environment of Norway, and United Nations Environment Program Executive Director. He is known for his work as an international peacemaker and is an advisor to government and green businesses. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's engage in a thoughtful conversation, paving the way for a future filled with sustainability.
I'm very happy to be on your show, Rohit, so thank you so much.
What are the most promising renewable energy and energy efficiency innovations emerging from India that could serve as a models for other developing economies? And how can India scale up these solutions rapidly?
I think what's really the strength of India at the moment is it has a very strong, dedicated green leadership with Prime Minister Modi, as well as some of the chief ministers of many of the states. It has a very vibrant business who can take change to scale. As an example, in the desert of Gujarat, the Adani Group is now developing what will be the biggest solar and wind facility in the world. It's simply absolutely massive. It's 30 gigawatts. That's the entire Norwegian hydropower consumption combined. Or to draw another parallel, that one energy facility in Gujarat is as much as 6 times the entire energy grid of Nigeria, which is, as you know, the largest nation in Africa. So there are huge positive changes when it comes to the green transformation of India, which should be taken to the world.
Okay, amazing. So you have emphasized the need to move past traditional trade-offs between the economic prosperity and environmental protection. So can you elaborate on how countries can achieve green growth and development?
Absolutely. I mean, in the past, if you wanted to go green, it was a cost because it will cost in economic terms. Every nation in the entire world based its economic development on fossil fuels, on coal and oil and gas. Indeed, the Industrial Revolution happened in the first place in the United Kingdom because that small nation had an enormous abundance of coal and it had waterways to take the coal around. But after the United Kingdom, Germany, France, United States, Japan, Korea, China, India, everyone based its development on coal. They were all aware, of course, that coal was very harmful to the health and to the environment. But that's what was the only way to develop. But that's so much the past, because now solar and wind are the cheapest forms of energy. Just recently, the energy producers in the state of Gujarat came down with a price which combines solar with energy storage, which is much lower than coal. So if you move from fossil fuels into solar and wind, not only is good for the health, not only is good for the environment, but you save money, and of course you create numerous jobs and economic prosperity. So the old choice, environment or development, was true in the past, but in the future it's a false one. We can rapidly increase our economies, bring all Indians out of poverty, but do it in a green way. And fortunately, that's the view of Prime Minister Modi, but it's also the view of those Indian politicians who oppose Modi, like, say, Chief Minister Stalin of Tamil Nadu is not a BJP man, but he has the same view on this environment drive as the Prime Minister.
Coming to the third question, what do you see as an Indian key strength and opportunities in leading the global fight against climate change and environmental degradation? How can India leverage its rapid economic growth and emerging innovations to drive sustainable and influence global environmental policies?
Let me point to a few strengths of India. One is simply the size of the market. I mean, India is a market of 1.4 billion people. You can produce something in Tamil Nadu, you can sell it in Arunachal Pradesh at the Chinese border. Well, that's a huge distance. It's much longer than from Northern Europe to Africa. But it's one market, one grid, basically one set of rules. And when you succeed in such a demanding, price-conscious market like India, you will tend to be globally competitive. Whoever makes solar or wind or energy storage, whatever, from India, will tend to be competitive in the global markets. Secondly, India now has a much better governance system than in the past. In the past, let's be fair, but also be honest, it tended to be very bureaucratic. There was a lot of red tape. This still exists, but much less so. Prime Minister is providing a very strong leadership from the center, but leaders of Tamil Nadu or Karnataka or Gujarat or Madhya Pradesh on the states are also on the same message. We can go green and we can increase the economies at the same time. And the last strength, there is a strong civil movement in India behind this. You don't find any climate deniers or any importance in India. In the United States, I mean, one of the two big political parties are basically climate deniers. Where are the climate deniers in India? Nowhere. I mean, BJP is fully on board, but so is the DMK in Tamil Nadu or Trinamool Congress in West Bengal or basically any other, of course, the Congress party. So there are no climate deniers which slow down development. Yeah. The combine is a huge market, strong governance, and a strong civil society movement behind it. India is in a very, very, very powerful position to provide global leadership.
Right. Okay, so throughout your career, how have you sought to elevate the voices of the environmental activists, indigenous communities, and other civil groups in international policy making processes? What advice would you give to grassroots organizations and concerned citizens looking to effectively influence environmental governments at the local and national and global levels?
This is a very, very important question because look, all developments of renewables of importance are large scale. In the desert of Gujarat, Adani is very lucky because there is nothing there. It's not just a desert, it's even a salty desert. There's hardly a straw, there's no one living there. Yeah. But in most other places in the world, if you want to develop large-scale solar or wind parks or hydropower, well, there will be people living there. Sometimes these are indigenous groups and there need to be a very consultative process with indigenous people. But even if the people are not indigenous, just say normal Indians or average Indians or for that matter Chinese or Americans, there must be consultations because a huge wind park or a huge solar park will transform local communities and we must consult with the people there. However, it's very important also that some of the economic windfall, the benefits of this, remains with the local community. Because otherwise, local people will ask, oh, what do I benefit? Maybe this is good for India at large. Maybe some politicians in Delhi is benefiting. Maybe Mr. Adani or Mr. Ambani or Tata, maybe they are benefiting. But what is in it for me and for my local community? So I very, very strongly advise a consultative process between governments and businesses and the local communities, and a process where you make sure that local communities also benefit from solar or wind or hydropower or whatever energy technology you want to provide. And strong local communities which come together, fund organizations, can also get into this consultative process with business and with government.
Right. Okay. You have praised India's Prime Minister Modi for his commitment for the green policies. What specific economic and environmental initiatives by the Indian government do you think other developing nations should look to emulate?
Just a very recent example, right after the opening ceremony of the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, Prime Minister Modi came back to Delhi and he basically said, look, Lord Ram was about energy. Let's launch a huge scheme for rooftop solar in India. It's large scale, it's 10 million roofs in India, which will be then covered by solar, providing energy. And it's a very simple scheme. You can register your interest digitally. If you are owning a farmhouse or a residential house, you will not take the risk. The energy provider or the bank will take the risk. The government will make sure there are guarantees for this. But a farmer or a house owner may not have the appetite for risk because their economic means are limited. So I think this very simple scheme, digital, and the risk is with the energy supplier and the bank. It's a scheme which, with all the principles, can be applied in any developing nations in the world, in Africa, Latin America, and of course in all the developing nations of Asia. Because India is so big, it has a much stronger leadership than most developing nations. It's not like you can copy everything from India in Cameroon or Ecuador, but you can learn still.
Right, yeah. Okay, so based on your interactions with the Indian policymakers and businesses, what are the key mindset shifts or cultural changes you believe are necessary for India to truly embed sustainability across all sectors of its economy and society?
The big shift is to see climate and environment not just as a problem, but as an enormous opportunity. Look, Gautam Adani, he made a lot of his money in coal. Now he's moving big scale into solar and wind. That is not just because he's interested in the environment, but it's because it's an enormous business opportunity. He can provide jobs for his employees, better living conditions for Indians, and of course also profits for the company by going green. So I think this shift in thinking from environment and climate being seen as a huge problem into see them as a huge business opportunity, bring Indians out of poverty, provide jobs by going green, that's the most important. And India is very well placed with China to be leaders in this area.
Right, okay. So as an experienced global environmental advocate, and what advice would you give to young Indians who are passionate about tackling climate change and environmental degradation in their communities and at national level?
I will encourage everyone to be active, look for all positive developments and showcase it on social media. Nearly all young Indians are on social media. If you do something good yourself, you see some friend from school or the local community doing something good, or you just see something happening, showcase it, and then others will learn from it and will see a lot more of it. And of course, make sure that you have some substance, some knowledge. Try to watch what's available on the internet or read books about climate change and environment so that you see what's the right thing to do. And finally, tap into your belief in a beautiful India. I'm sure every young Indian would know of some beautiful place, maybe the village in Bihar, which is your home place, or the mountains of the Himalayas, or the rice paddies of Andhra Pradesh. There is beauty everywhere, or the park in Mumbai or Delhi. There are beauty everywhere. So tap into your fondness, your love for the beauty of this fantastic nation called Bharat or India.
Right. So that's what we also believe to have the awareness and about the different the environment related or the challenges that is, and so we want to share lot of different environment related activities, actions that can be taken by the like people all over the world. So that's what we believe, and like we are doing that like different sessions like to make the awareness about the environment and the challenges.
No, absolutely, and there is so much young people can do. I mean, they can drink from a normal glass, avoid plastic, don't throw plastic into nature. They can demand solar panels at the university. They can, of course, showcase the great stories on social media. They can buy the more environment-friendly products when they go to the shop. There's so much people can do, and by that example, you will also inspire others to do more.
Right. Yeah.